¡Viva la raza!
Eddie Guerrero is one of the all-time greatest pro wrestlers ever and a personal favorite of mine to study. Everything from his character work, body language, timing, and skill set is just an absolute marvel. He would tragically pass away in 2005 due to heart failure at the age of 38. But almost 20 years after his death, his impact on the business is still felt today. And Tekken is one of the most popular fighting game franchises of all time, with millions of players all over the world, and has basically become the industry standard for 3D fighting games. Until Virtua Fighter came back anyway. Hello everyone, I am Cobalt the Crusader, independent professional wrestler and occasional YouTuber, and I just want to talk about something that I've literally never seen anybody else talk about. It's gonna get dark. What if I told you that there is a dark connection between Eddie Guerrero and Tekken? Well, give me a few minutes, and I'm gonna blow your mind. Tekken is no stranger to pro wrestling. One of the most popular characters is, of course, King, the luchador with the jaguar mask, whose vocabulary consists of growls and big cat noises. Meow. Plus, there's the Bullet Club shirts in Tekken 7, Kazuchika Okada's Rainmaker outfit for King, Hiroshi Tanahashi's outfit for Lars. You get the idea. Tekken's creator, Katsuhiro Harada, is clearly a fan of pro wrestling. There's actually a lot of professional wrestlers in fighting games as characters, and you would not believe how much overlap there is between the two. That's actually probably a video in and of itself, though. But back to King. To fans in the know, King is inspired by the manga character Tiger Mask, which is about a pro wrestler who wears, you guessed it, a tiger mask. Big surprise, right? Tiger Mask is actually a pretty popular series coming out in the late 1960s. The manga lasted for 14 volumes, there was an anime that had 105 episodes, and there's even been a few animated films, a sequel series, a live-action film, etc. Now, I'm not going to pretend that I'm an expert on Tiger Mask lore, because I'm not. I mean, sure, I love anime, and I love pro wrestling, but I haven't seen everything out there. But the main influence felt in the world of professional wrestling is the transition of the character from manga and anime to real life. Numerous wrestlers have donned the Tiger Mask character, and every single one of them has gone on to do some incredible things and have long-lasting careers. Being Tiger Mask is basically a tried and true method of being a made performer and is held in high regard. But with a popular character that's lasted for decades, you can't just toss a mask on a guy like that and hope for the best. What's essentially a pro wrestling superhero character of sorts, you need to have some other heroes, villains, and rivals to fill out the lore. Enter the Black Tiger. Prominent antagonist of the manga and eventually a duotagonist in Tiger Mask W, it was only natural that they would want to translate a villainous version of Tiger Mask for audiences. Wherever there's a Tiger Mask, you can bet a Black Tiger would follow. The second incarnation of Black Tiger was portrayed by none other than Eddie Guerrero. Now let's jump back to Tekken for a moment. Just like Tiger Mask and Black Tiger in real life, there have been more than one king and his arch-rival, Armor King. The first king dies at the hands of Ogre in the beginning of Tekken 3, and Armor King selects a new protege who is currently the king in-game right now. This Armor King would then die in a bar fight with Craig Marduk. Now I know what you're thinking, that's just nerdy video game and manga lore. What's this got to do with Eddie Guerrero's death? Well, like I said, it does get dark. And here's where it's gonna get dark. First, this requires a bit of knowledge. In the Tiger Mask manga, Black Tiger is not explicitly stated to be Mexican, but is instead just labeled as a Gaijin. Gaijin basically means non-Japanese, and the first man to portray him in real life was British wrestler Mark Rocco, who isn't a luchador. This is important because Eddie Guerrero hails from El Paso, Texas, and is a luchador. And although Armor King's nationality is pretty much not known, he is also a luchador. Although what's more significant is this. Eddie performed under the Black Tiger gimmick between the years 1993 and 1996. Tekken 1 came out in 1994. Given Armor King's background and style of wrestling that he did, it's reasonable to assume that Armor King is based on Eddie's portrayal of Black Tiger and not Mark Rocco's. Getting back on track to the lore of Tekken and his ties to Eddie though, well, you see, Armor King is not playable in Tekken 3 despite making an appearance in King's ending. The reason behind that is if you watch his ending in Tekken 2. In his ending, we see scans of his heart flashing over the screen. He stands up and walks down the tunnel, with his vision blurring before spitting up blood, and exiting very slowly to the roar of the crowd. Armor King is clearly having some kind of heart condition, although it's not explicitly stated what it is. Some time passes between Tekken 2 and 3. Armor King is basically in a managerial position for King 2, his heart condition rendering him incapable of wrestling or fighting any longer, and he seems depressed and heartbroken, even removing his own mask and sitting in complete silence. In Tekken 4, it was established that he became an alcoholic, hopping from bar to drown his sorrows away, which is what led him to getting into a bar fight and dying at the hands of Craig Marduk. Tekken 2 was released in 1995, 10 years before Eddie Guerrero died, but in the arcade version of the game, Armor King's ending was just generic text. The home release of Tekken 2 included the CGI ending, where he has his heart problems. And I'm gonna blow your mind with this string of wild coincidences. Eddie Guerrero's last known appearance as Black Tiger is hard to pin down, but it's been widely established that he left the gimmick in 1996, the same year that Tekken 2 would get its home console release with the CGI ending. So the last time that Armor King 1 is playable in a mainline Tekken game was released in the very last year that Eddie portrayed the Black Tiger character. But the craziest coincidence is the dates of Tekken 5. Tekken 5 being significant because that gave us the debut of the second incarnation of Armor King. Namco released Tekken 5 on November 15th, 2004, just 2 days shy of being exactly 1 year before Eddie passed away, November 13th, 2005. Tekken 5's home console port came out February 25th, 2005, 5 days after Eddie won his final championship in WWE, becoming a tag team champion with Rey Mysterio at No Way Out, February 20th, 2005. These dates are coincidental, sure, but if Armor King is based on Eddie Guerrero, consider this. Eddie was known to have alcohol problems throughout his life, though according to his nephew and fellow wrestler Chavo Guerrero, Eddie was sober for 4 years before passing away. However, he does say that years of alcoholism had long-lasting effects and still contributed to Eddie's death at the hands of heart failure. Eddie gets sober in 2001, the same year Tekken 4 comes out and Armor King 1 dies. Alcoholism and a heart problem is what caused Eddie's death in real life, just like alcoholism and a heart problem caused Armor King's death in fiction, albeit in 2 very different circumstances, but regardless, both tied together by the Black Tiger character. Again, all of these are completely coincidental, and Eddie Guerrero isn't the first professional wrestler who had a heart condition and an alcohol problem. I would also like to add that if Harada or anyone at Namco comes out and either confirms or denies Armor King being based on Eddie Guerrero, I will pin a comment or even give a full-blown update video. I don't want to spread misinformation after all. But even if it's confirmed that Armor King isn't based on Eddie Guerrero, I just find these strings of coincidences to be chilling, because I grew up as a big fan of Eddie Guerrero in Tekken. And little did I know that when I got Armor King's ending in Tekken 2, I was almost getting a look at what would happen to one of my favorite wrestlers. If any of my fellow wrestlers see this, please limit your alcohol intake as much as you can and get your vitals checked, because heart conditions can spring up pretty much out of nowhere. I want to thank you all for watching, and I really don't know what else to say at this point, but I do want to give a small shout out to my home away from home, Boogie's Wrestling Camp in Shawsville, Virginia. They are great people, great trainers, hosted by Jimmy Valiant, WWE Hall of Famer. If you want to live your dream, please look us up. We would love to have you. Rest in peace, Eddie. Thank you for everything you've done.